Today's live video. My name is May Dalio, and today morning, May Dalio here, and I'm talking about a summary of principles of dealing with a changing world order written by Ray Dalio. Everything I'm speaking about today is on my blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. So I invite you to go visit my blog and check it out. It's the link in my description on YouTube. On Instagram, it's in my profile, the link to the blog, and on Facebook, it's right underneath this video. So if you go to my blog, you can see that's the blog post, and it has a written summary as well. On the right side, if you're not on my email list yet, hi Rosalind. If you're not on my email list yet, Rosalind's on my email list, but if you aren't, go to the right side of my blog and you can scroll down to where it says ready to create financial freedom, and you put in your first name, email address, and click that red yes button, and you get on my email list, and you get a free ebook, Working Parents Guide to Financial Freedom, sent directly to your inbox. Yay! So exciting. Okay, so let's begin. I was actually looking for another video on YouTube, and this video came up as an ad. So he's promoting his new book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. Now, Ray Dalio, I really respect Ray Dalio. He is a billionaire hedge fund manager. He's extremely intelligent. He made the all seasons portfolio that I use to save money for Jordan. And our retirement savings, I use his portfolio allocation. So I really respect and admire Ray Dalio. So when I saw that he was sponsoring an ad, I watched it, and it was like a 43-minute video promo of his book. And the video is very good. So if you go to my blog, the video is there, and you can watch the video. But I'm going to summarize the video for you in less than 43 minutes. Oh, and if you don't know my story, before I begin, I always tell my story. I live in Waikiki, Hawaii. We own 2 properties. This one here, which is a 3-bedroom condo, and another 1-bedroom condo on the street, which is an Airbnb business, which is still legal. Yay. Okay. Anyway, back in 2011, I had a lot of credit card debt, and like over $30,000. Maybe it was 40. I think it was $40,000, something like that, of credit card debts and lines of credit debts. I paid it off by 2016, April. And then I quit my job in December, and I became a full-time mother, which is what I really wanted to do. I had a 3-year-old at the time, and he was getting too big for my mom, and I really wanted to be a mother, actually be home with them and enjoy being a mom. So I quit my job. I became a full-time mother, and part-time, I started coaching clients in what I call Finance Freedom Mastermind programs. And what we do is basically I teach them what I did to quit my job, pay off all the debt, create passive income. When I quit my job, we had improved our net worth by $500,000, and we were making almost $500 a month, every month, in passive income. So that's what I was teaching my clients. And I still teach in Finance Freedom Mastermind programs. If you want to know more about that, go to yesfinanciallyfree.com and go to the top. It says products. And the first one is Finance Freedom Mastermind. Okay, let's talk about world orders always change in a cycle. So this is Ray Dalio. He starts out with his own personal story. Basically, he says that he remembers when he was young and he was working in Wall Street. Richard Nixon, the President Nixon went on TV and said he was going to get it off the gold standard. And he was like, what? So the dollar would not be convertible into gold anymore, because the United States was running out of gold, because everyone was converting their money into gold and taking the gold out of the United States, because basically the United States was overspending. That's why they didn't have enough gold to cover all their dollars. So they just stopped paying gold. And so he expected the whole world to collapse, stock market to crash. And it didn't. The stock market went up. So he was like, what? So anyway, recently with all the new world events, wars, internal conflict, class, what do you call it? The wealth gap increasing, inflation. He decided to go and look into history to see if he could see a cycle. And he found what he called the big cycle. So he says there's these big cycles where the world order changes. What is a world order? It's like which countries are on the top and which countries aren't. Basically the world order, all right? So right now, the United States is considered the top country. It is the reserve currency of the world. So it's considered the top of the world order right now. And he's saying right now what we're in is a big cycle where the United States became at the top of the world order in World War II. He says that's when it happened. All right, before World War II, the United States was not at the top of the world order. The top reserve currency was British pounds. All right, and before the British pounds, the top US currencies were Danish kroners. So he has this like historical chart thing that shows like how you can chart that, and he uses metrics. So he's a very analytical guy. So we're going to go into the metrics he uses to figure all this out. But basically, whoever's got the reserve currency is the top dog in the world order. Now, he says the world order is changing and China is emerging, and he thinks China is going to become the world top dog. So Chinese yuan is going to become the reserve currency of the world, and the United States dollar will not be anymore. So this is what he's saying is happening right now. Now, how do you measure? So first, we're going to talk about how to measure a country's health, okay? So he has these different metrics, he says, that he can measure how the country's doing. So if you are the top dog, or you're going to become the top dog, or wherever you are, he can kind of measure how strong is your country, how likely are you to become the top dog or stay the top dog, right? So these are the 8 metrics. 1, your education levels of the citizens of your country. 2, inventiveness, creativeness, right? 3, competitiveness. 4, economic output. How much are you making? 5, share of world trade. 6, your military strength. 7, your financial center, the power in your financial center. Our financial center is New York City. And number 8, the strength of your currency as the reserve currency. So those are the 8 measures of top dog status, basically, or of your country's health in general. And the lower those get, the more likely you are going to exit top dog status, okay, if you are top dog. All right, the big cycle, which is what I was telling you about, it has stages in it. So this is the cycle of becoming the leader in the world order and then going down, all right? So he said the Dutch did it, Great Britain did it, and he didn't go back that long. He only went back like 500 years. So anyway, so he says China's going up now. Welcome to the live. Thanks for being on. So the first stage, war creates an order with one country becoming leader. So there's some war. So he says World War II was the last one that created this. In World War II, there were allied powers. They won a war. They did treaties. The United States became the leader because they were selected as the reserve currency of the world. Okay. All right. 2, after the war, there's peace, prosperity, and productivity. So everybody's working hard. No one's fighting anymore because the fight was just over. So we're all done fighting and everything's going along. 3, stage, the next step is there starts to be borrowing. You're so prosperous, you start to borrow money, and this borrowing leads to a financial bubble. Number 4, currency becomes the reserve currency. Your currency becomes a reserve currency during this time. Number 5, a wealth gap is created. The rich become richer, the poor become poorer. Number 6, there's a financial bust and an economic downturn because the bubble busts, right? Number 7, the government prints money and creates more credit to stop the economic downturn. Number 8, there is a revolution. There's so much conflict in the wealth gap, the wealthy and the poor, that there's a revolution. There's internal conflict, which is either resolved peacefully or not. And he talks about Franklin Roosevelt with the New Deal when he created the welfare system. That was a peaceful way of resolving the wealth gap. Number 9 is wars. An outside power becomes more powerful and takes over the world leader. All right. Now, if there's too much internal conflict, then an external country can come in and take over because the internal one is too weak to defend itself. That's basically it. That's the whole cycle. All right. So then he goes into this deeper detail about the rise, the top, and the decline. Right. So it kind of looks like this. All right. A roller coaster. So the rise is when a leader rises up. There's a leader, gains popularity, all right, and consolidates power. And then there's education. They have a good education system, and the people get educated. They become inventive. They have the education also teaches them to have strong character, do what's right, be good, follow laws, that kind of thing. Number 3, citizens, they become productive. The economy grows. Number 4, there's the leader picks successors well, or creates a system that picks successors well, like a voting system or something. Then number 5, the country creates a financial center, which grows. Number 6, the military, the government, and the business sectors all work together really well so that they can go out and find more business. Number 7, people start wanting their currency, right? Other countries want their currency and they become the preferred reserve currency. So people start borrowing money, right, from that country. They start wanting to save money in US dollars, for instance, as today. Like China is saving money in US dollars because US is the reserve currency. But what happens is that what that means is that we're actually borrowing money from China because China is buying our money and holding it. We're like borrowing from all these countries. When you are the top dog, you can do that. You can borrow from everyone because everyone wants your money. Okay, they want your bonds. Okay, and this creates a financial bubble because you borrow too much money. All right, at the top, workers are more expensive in the leading powers. The U.S. workers are more expensive than Chinese workers, Indian workers, everybody else. Number 2, other countries copy the leading countries' innovations. All right, they build them with their own cheaper workers. All right, so whatever the top dog develops, the other countries, the other ones, they copy them and they can do it faster and quicker because their workers are cheaper. The workers in the leading power become less productive because they're richer. They don't want to work so hard. Wealth gaps grow, values change. Inherited wealth makes wealthy people vulnerable because they become weak because all they can do is have a good time with their money and they don't know how to work anymore. Resentments grow between the rich who don't do much except play around and the poor who are working really hard and are resenting the rich. And there's more borrowing to bet that the good times will last forever, weakening the currency's financial health, financial overconsumption, and that the military spending is too much because they're trying to control everything that they got everywhere and they just run out of money, basically. The decline. So we're up. Now we're going on the decline. In the decline, there's fighting internally and externally. The country can't pay off its debts, so it prints new money to pay off its debts, which devalues its currency and causes inflation. 3, when the living standards fall, the government tries to make, when the living standards fall for the poor, the middle class and the poor, the government tries to take money from the wealthy and redistribute it, right, with higher taxes, right? So the wealthy start leaving the places that start doing that, right? So California has super high taxes. They're leaving California, they're going to Florida, right? Well, he's saying that eventually if it gets too bad, the whole United States is going to start taxing more, and then rich people might leave the United States, right? And then you have a flood of wealth leaving the country. Now, when that happens, the government might make laws that say you cannot take wealth out of the country, which is what Franklin Roosevelt did during the Great Deal. He said you cannot take gold out of the country, right? You have to give your gold to the United States government, which people did peacefully, all right? Okay, so this is what happens, all right? Now, if you can resolve that, then you're all right. But if you can't, and you have a lot of war, you have a civil war or something like that, then external countries that are more wealthy and continue to get more wealthy, they start to challenge you, which may lead to wars or not. But the world order will change when other countries start buying up a different country's money as their reserve currency. So he says China is the one that's coming up. So in his example, if everyone started selling off US dollars and buying Chinese yuan, then that would be that would mean that the top dog is no longer the top country and China is taking over. Now, in the end of his video, he says that this has not happened yet. Nobody is selling off US dollars to buy yuan yet. And there's no wars. There's no conflicts that have stepped over the line yet. And this hasn't happened. So how can you make your country healthier? You can, I know he's really into improving education, but what he says is spend less than you make, right? So we do this in our Finance Freedom Mastermind program. Spend less than you make, put aside 10% of your income to grow your financial freedom, right? He says to do that as a country, individually and as a country, we need to do that. And also be kind to each other. Be kind to each other. So that's the basic video. That was interesting. I mean, Ray Dalio was like, what? I mean, it was an ad. So I was like, okay, I'll watch that. So check it out for yourself. My blog, YesFinanciallyFree.com, has the actual video on it if you want to watch the whole video. It's a cartoon. It's easy to understand. It's really interesting. When I saw it, started watching, I was like, ooh, this is interesting. So I recommend you check it out. Thanks for being on the live. Share this with your friends and followers. And see you next time. Aloha. Take care. Bye. And thank you so much for being on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and send this to all your friends and followers. Have a great day. Aloha.